Hello. We are talking about, if you're just joining, we're talking about why now is the best time to start your home bakery business. Best hair on the internet. Thank you. Okay, let me know if you already have a home bakery business or if you're just starting. Hello, Nima's Cakes, and everyone else. So a lot of people are kind of scared to start right now and or grow if you're, you've just kind of been treading water and you need to take the next steps, but you're scared. I'm going to talk about why now is a good time. So if you're just joining, let me know, do you have one started or are you looking to get one started? Starting, okay. What are you going to sell? Yeah, and I do, but I have been slacking lately because of prices. Okay. What do you sell? 8 months going strong. Good. Have you noticed, Mima's Cakes, have you noticed business getting better, getting worse? Okay, so if you've watched my lives before, one on my YouTube channel, you probably know a little bit about how I got started. Shauna's Cupcakes and more said just about to get cottage license. Cool. What state are you in? So I started in 2014. I started by selling macarons, and at the time it didn't seem like a good thing, but when I first started, I did not have a lot of money to put into the business. So that helped me kind of develop the mindset of getting everything for really cheap, keeping prices really low, and like a lot of you are probably doing now, trying to keep prices down because ingredients are so expensive. So I just needed to keep them down because I didn't have a lot of funds coming in to help with my business when I first started. But that was helpful for me in the long run because I kept things as cheap as possible. Like when I opened my bakery, I was able to do it on it wasn't a low price, but it was low compared to what other people do because I was able to keep everything so minimum because of how I started. I was used to that. I'm going to read some of these comments here. I have a home bakery in London specializing in celebration cakes. Prices have gone up. I've built a reputation and now getting wedding cakes and want to grow in this. Good for you. Weddings are great. People are still going to get married. People have, a lot of times, they have a big budget for their baked goods. No, they don't necessarily have a big budget for their baked goods. They have a lot of times a big budget, and that can go towards the baked goods if you have the prices high. Because a lot of people think, oh my gosh, no one's going to pay for 800 macarons, but a lot of photographers these days, the photographer alone is anywhere from 1,000 to 10,000, probably more than that. So just make sure that you're not undercharging because you think no one will want to pay for it. Started out with decorated cookies in 2019 and switched to other baked goods in 2021. What made you decide to switch to other baked goods? California, okay, and you said you are just about to get cottage license. Are you doing Class A or Class B? Have you decided? Up to November, it only kept getting busier and busier. We're in Ottawa and had 3 snowstorms in December, so sales dropped off. Now I'm prepping for this year. Good, okay. I'm scared because I don't know much on the business side. Okay. Shauna's Cupcakes say Class A. Okay, that's the one I recommend at first if you don't have any interest in doing wholesale right away. You could always do the Class A and then do that. I feel fine charging for my work, but I don't know how to switch from hi, I'm your everyday baker to hi, I'm your wedding cake designer. So that is my favorite part. That's a lot of branding. So I wish I could go look at your page right now, but yes, a lot of that will be branding, switching over your branding, and that will make it. And once you get some photos from your weddings, there's a lot of different ways you can do this. We talk a lot about that in the program, but that for me is the fun part, what you're about to do. Because you know the business is there, you know that's what you want to do. Now just, switching over. I feel like it's good to start with Class A. Yeah, especially if you're not 100% sure if you want to do it, or you're just starting, getting the Class A, and then, building up your business, then moving on to Class B if that's what you want to do. And if you don't have to do wholesale, no. It depends what your goals are, but in the beginning, if you can hit your goals for what you want in your income, doing farmers markets, stuff like that, straight to the customer, you're going to be making more money with less work because you won't have to lower the price for wholesale. Decorated cookies are very time consuming, especially with 3 kids, got burnt out quick, and it started feeling like a job more than enjoyment. Baked goods give me room for growth and hoping to grow. Yep, I understand that. I used to sell out of a shop I worked in, but not anymore. Went from being able to wholesale to not being able to. Farmers markets are slow, feeling very discouraged. So there are a lot of different things you can do to get those farmers markets back up. It might be the market. If you're doing the same market and it's just never good, it could just be the market. So I would look at that. I would go into doing a lot of pop-ups if I were you, figure out which ones work best. It's hard because some of the markets are, the farmers markets are a summer-long thing. Like in Ohio, if I signed up for a market, I usually signed up for it for the whole season. So if it was bad, I stayed, even if it was bad. But I did, even at the bad ones, I did get some customers that were there for the lifetime of my business. You might think they're bad, but if you have customers that are coming back every time, those are going to usually be really good customers, and it'll make it worth it. Or think about it like this. If you're doing the market all season and you book 3 huge weddings, it's worth it. Okay. So, like I was saying, this one's just going to be a short one today. Like I was saying, starting now when prices are so high, when you're so worried about making enough, it doesn't feel good, but the way that you handle it, if you're lowering your costs, not your prices, don't lower your prices. If you're lowering your costs, you're finding cheaper ingredients, you're using I don't want to say equipment that's not as expensive, but if you're not buying new equipment constantly, if you're selling the items that have the highest profit margin, this is going to set you up better in the long run when you aren't dealing with these problems. Because if you can make it work now, it's going to be so easy. That was my problem. I didn't have a lot of funds in the beginning, so I made it work on such low costs and operating out of such a small little apartment kitchen with not that many, I only had 1 mixer, 1 oven. I could only bake 1 tray at a time. Everything was easier after that. And then I was making the products that had the highest profit margins because I knew that I needed to be making as much money as possible because I didn't have a lot of funds going into my business. So now is a good time to focus on those items that have a really high profit margin, and it'll just show you this is what I need to do. So when you do eventually have the funds, ingredients are not as expensive, it's just going to be so much easier. I want to start a baking business, but my house doesn't pass the inspection. Is it okay if I still sell small desserts until I can afford a bigger place, or what would you recommend? So I don't want to tell you to do that. A lot of people do it. A lot of people don't ever get licensed. There are some states that don't allow it at all, but people do it anyway because most of the time, depends on your state, but the punishment is just stop. They tell you to stop. But if you have a problem, then it's going to be a bigger problem. If you don't have insurance, if you don't have an LLC set up for your business, all of that stuff, if there's a problem, it's riskier if you're not doing this legally. But yeah, I know a lot of bakers that aren't licensed and they're doing fine. I couldn't do that because I would be so terrified. and I wanted to, like, I knew that I wanted to be a storefront eventually, and I didn't want, just in case something happened, and I wanted to have insurance and stuff. And anywhere I wanted to sell, like a farmer's market, they made you have insurance and you had to be licensed. So it's going to be a different story if you're doing it just from your home versus trying to do farmers markets. If you want to do it this way without getting inspected, pop-ups are sometimes the way to go. I'm not telling you to do this, but they are not usually as regulated as a farmer's market. A farmer's market is usually like they shut down a road, or it's some area in a city where there was like zoning and stuff to consider where they had to get it approved. So that means that the health inspectors were involved. The health inspectors will be coming by to inspect your stuff whenever they want. So that kind of stuff, you definitely don't want to be caught there. But that's not always the case at a pop-up. If you're doing a pop-up in a clothing store, unless someone tells on you, the health inspector usually isn't going to be going there. But then you risk posting it on social media. You risk a health inspector seeing it, or someone that knows someone, or if you have competition that sees that you're doing it and that you're not inspected, they could possibly report you. But what I would do, and what I recommend my students do if they can't, because we do have some that come in and they're like, I'm not allowed to sell in this city, what can I do? I want to get my business started. I always recommend finding a place where you can sell, like rent a commercial kitchen, rent. A lot of cities have, like, I can't think of what they're called right now, like co-op kitchens, where it's a big commercial kitchen with like little stations and you rent space there. Those are kind of expensive. So I would recommend, there's so many other options, like maybe renting from a coffee shop that's only open till like 3 or something like that, then go into the bigger place. All right. Do you recommend just focusing on one product? So I do, because that's what, I was one person doing this. It was better for me in my home, like in a tiny apartment, keeping inventory of the ingredients I needed, keeping prices down, getting really good at one thing. Think about it. If you are going to buy macarons, do you want to buy macarons from the bakery that sells donuts, cupcakes, macarons, chocolate cookies, or do you want to buy from the person that specializes in macarons and only sells macarons in all different flavors? It is a little harder, because if someone thinks they don't like macarons, it's hard to get them in there. But if you're doing flavors, for me it was harder because a lot of people around here didn't know what macarons were. So I had to put like regular flavors of things they'd heard of into macaron form, and those were really popular, like brownie batter, cookie dough. They were like, oh, cookie dough, brownie batter, fruity pebbles. Those are some really popular ones. Like, I had to put a flavor that they knew really well into the macaron, and that got people in trying them. So it's a little harder in that way, but you do have, like, especially for weddings and stuff like that, they're going to go to the person that specializes in macarons. But when I say focusing on one thing, it could be like you focus on, say you want to do dessert bars for weddings. You're not going to just focus on one item for dessert bars. Your one thing that you focus on could be dessert bars. So that's like your thing. Like, you provide the cupcakes, the cookies, the pie, everything that is on a dessert bar, but that's just your one product. It's like dessert bars. My husband passed away in November, and now after not baking and selling any macarons for over 10 months, how do I get the momentum going again? I signed up for a pop-up at the end of the month. So I would definitely do what you're doing. Pop-ups, just kind of treat it like you're first starting, just getting that ball rolling again. And then once you do the pop-ups, the farmers markets, and stuff like that, if it picked up the first time, you have customers, you know you have. And if you're being honest about what happened, like, I feel like, and even if you don't want to share that with people, a lot of people, a lot of customers, like my customers anyway, they would have understood if I took a break, or especially if I told them why I took a break, or and they would come back. Like, if you had really good customers, you'd be surprised at like how understanding they are. And especially you've got your name in your business. Like, I'm not seeing your page right now, but I'm sure that your customers that you have will come back and it'll start to go again. But I would do the markets. I would just pretend like you're starting over. Thank you for giving honest answer. It gives me hope. About the inspection. Yeah. Okay. What type of desserts do you see are highly requested? So I was just in the macaron business, but I have a lot of people in the Home Bakery Blueprint program that do a variety of things. And there doesn't seem to be a pattern. Like, it seems just like if you have a really great product and you're really good at showing that through social media, it's going to sell. Like, one of the students, I always talk about him because he's such a great product and his photography is so good and he's just doing everything great. He does crumb cakes, but he does like you think crumb cake, okay, that sounds good. But he does like double the crumb topping, which is like what everyone wants in a crumb cake. It's like double the crumb topping and then a smaller amount of the cake part. And then I think he said he put something in the cake to make it even, so it's not dry at all, like some crumb cakes usually are. So he took like a regular, like crumb cake sounds good. He made it even better, and then even better in the bottom part. And then he takes pictures of it, and I think it's called Colossal Crumb Cake. If you go look on his page, he like takes pictures of them so they look like colossal crumb cakes, like they look big. Hi, is it Peg or Meg in here? Hi, Olga. So he takes really good pictures of them that, like, I don't even know if they're good. I've never tried them, but they look so good. And he sells out at markets. He has, his branding is so nice. Everything just looks really, really nice. Aw, sending you hugs too. Has it been raining there? I keep reading about all the rain in California. You said what? Desserts. Okay, so basically what I'm saying is it's not necessarily the dessert that matters, it's how you make it and how you make it look. I've been thinking of you and we need to catch up. I agree. But yeah, so around here, if I was going to start, like I've been so tempted to start another home bakery business just to like show people like how fast you can grow it if you're doing the right things. But if I did something around here, I'll DM and let's make a date. That sounds good. I would like that. I would do simple, really, really good cookies. Like, it is so hard to find because no one wants to like specialize in them because they think everyone's going to make them at home. That is not true. I don't like when people say that because think about coffee shops. Think about coffee shops. Think about beer. Think about eating out anywhere. Like, people go out to a coffee shop and spend 5 times what it would cost them to make it at home. They go out, stand in line, leave their house early, wake up earlier to go stand in line at a coffee shop to get a coffee they can make at home. Like, I don't want to hear that anymore, that someone can make it at home. I had so many people when I was selling macarons and I said, I'm going to make YouTube videos teaching people how to make them. So many people were like, oh my gosh, your business is going to go under. People are going to just make them then. You can't do that. You can't show them how to make it. First of all, anyone can make them. I mean, not anyone, but you can find a recipe online and you can try to make them. Second, I have bought macarons before. I know how to make macarons with my eyes closed, and I have bought macarons. I don't want to make them all the time. I don't want to make chocolate chip cookies. Like, people are busy. People don't want to. Mostly, I don't want to. If I want a chocolate chip cookie, I don't want a whole batch of chocolate chip cookies in my house sitting there because I will eat all of them. You know what I mean? Like, for someone to say, like, you shouldn't sell chocolate chip cookies or something that's so easy because people can just make it at home, they're not going to. They might want it right then. They don't want to go get the ingredients. They don't want to make everything. They don't want to mess up their kitchen, do the dishes. Like, just that is something that I've been looking for years. Just a really, really good, and just get a really good cookie base and then put other stuff in it. Like, some of the places around in Ohio that are doing the best that I've noticed are just cookies that they put some fun stuff in. So if you can get like a good cookie base and then do like I was saying before, like Fruity Pebbles, or you don't necessarily have to do like simple things like common desserts mixed with it like I did with macarons, because people already know what a cookie is. But that is something that I would do. And I would do it like late night delivery. Like really, really good cookies, like kind of like Insomnia does, but no offense to them, better cookies. How did you get into those farmers markets? So I applied and some of them I had to wait a while. I knew this was something I wanted to do and turn into a bakery, so I was okay. I was okay with being patient and like doing some smaller markets at first, applying every year so they knew that I was like on a waiting list, or, you know, knowing that as I build my Instagram page and my following, they're going to see that they're going to want me to be in the market because I'm going to bring customers there. So yeah, basically just applying to the markets, getting in through that way. I realized that I jumped back into Popups too early. My daughter will be 7 months. 7 months already? I felt like you just had her. Wow. Next week, so you'll be 7 months next week, but so far I had 2 pop-ups and it was a lot of work with the baby. Yeah, I bet. And if you're open with your customers, I would just set it on like, we're not doing pop-ups for a while. Here's how you can order. I'm going to sell out. Make sure you order soon. I would just set those guidelines. Hi, Barbara. My huge chocolate chip drop cookies are my top sellers. Right? Like, us bakers think it's so easy. There's no way we should even have that because it's too easy for us. And like, it's cheap and it's just so, it seems so simple. But for people that don't want to bake, even for people that want to bake, like I know how to make my favorite chocolate chip cookie ever. And I'm still like constantly trying to find a good chocolate chip cookie I can just buy, because I do not want to make them all the time. I use the same base and change up the add-ins. Yeah, if you've got a good base that works for you, that is cost efficient, that's perfect. Okay. I think I said everything I wanted to say about why you should start it now. Yeah, I'm just taking orders for now, and it's every now and then, and that works for me now. Yeah, I would, and you keep up so well on your social media, I don't think you'll have a problem. It's been really hard to get in markets with my cheesecake because of the cottage laws. So, are you able to do cheesecake in there? Are you doing it legally? Because if not, if you do it, you could look into doing like a commercial kitchen and doing it there. But yeah, markets might be a little hard for that because you have to keep them cold. But they sell stuff like cheese and ice cream, and it would just probably require a little bit of a different license. I think we talked in messages, didn't we? I think I recognize that. But yeah, if you start now, if you like build your business under these kind of like pressing times where eggs are so expensive. Thanks, Samuel. If eggs are so expensive, butter's so expensive, you're going to really learn how to make your profit margins for certain things really high. And it's just going to give you so much more money in the future when you have lower prices for the ingredients. Cheesecake baker here, I work out of a commercial kitchen. Yeah, you might have to do a commercial kitchen. In Ohio, we do we have a home bakery. So we have the cottage law license, which is like the easiest, no inspections required. And then we have, what's it called? The home bakery license. So the cottage law license is you can bake non-perishable baked goods. So that means, you know, bread, cupcakes, stuff like that, stuff that won't go bad at room temperature. And then we have a step above that, which requires a inspection, like a $10 a year charge, which is not bad at all, and a couple other requirements, but then you can bake cheesecakes and stuff like that. Does anyone know how much commercial kitchens are in California? So we have a lot of California people in the program, and it just depends. Like, it totally depends on what part of California and what kind of commercial kitchen, but there's other ways around that. I'm so sorry, I'm gonna sneeze. There's other ways around that if you just do like renting space from another place. Okay, you've been looking into one. Yeah, because there are different options. Like I don't want to say this because it's not always the case, but like coffee shops that close at 3, those places usually clean up by 4 or 5, and then they are empty. And if they are, some coffee shops aren't, like, they don't have the license for baking, like they only have the equipment for coffee, so you have to make sure it's the right kind, but something like that could work. Oh yeah, I do have my piano. It's just a keyboard, but I love it. It's it has the weighted keys. I never had a weighted key keyboard before. I always had the unweighted ones. So that didn't have anything to do with baking, sorry. How important is packaging in terms of trying to contain costs? So everything is important in terms of trying to contain cost. So everything. If you can, this was hard for me because I didn't have the money up front. So if you can buy in bulk, like, it will save you a lot. But you have to have the space for it, you have to have the money for it, and you have to know for sure that it's the packaging you're going to be using. But if you can do that, you can get your packaging down to like the bags down to like pennies. But just keep everything as cheap as possible. And we talk about this a lot in the program. If you don't want to do the program, you don't think you're ready to do the 12-month program, send me a message about the pricing course, because that is just a small course anyone can join. And we talk about profit margins in there and how to get your profit margins really high, so you are, stuff like that, like packaging, stuff like that, is as low as possible. Bye, Samuel. Bought a few hundred eggs to prep for a huge festival this weekend. The cost was painful. Yeah, around here it was hard to even find eggs. I've seen a lot of bakers in the group say that they found someone local that has a lot of eggs. I don't know if that works everywhere, but yes, keeping your, right now especially, but I talk about this in the both programs, in the pricing course and in the home bakery blueprint program. But if you just need pricing advice, just get the home bakery pricing course on my website. But I talk about keeping your profit margins really high. So for example, right now, selling these kind of items. So let's say a lemon macaron. It's lemon, it's buttercream, it's not drizzled in anything, there's no cookies in it, like there's no cookies crushed on top, there's no chocolate drizzled on top. That is going to have a really high profit margin compared to a Oreo raspberry white chocolate cheesecake macaron that is going to have crushed up cookies in the shell. It's going to have a white chocolate drizzle, and it's going to have a cheesecake filling and raspberry jam in the middle. That profit margin is going to be very low. I'm making very little money from those raspberry white chocolate Oreo cheesecake macarons compared to the lemon macarons. Now, and when I first started, it's just going to be a good time to get creative with the high profit margin, the lemon macarons, things like that. The macarons that aren't costing you a lot to make, but you're charging the same amount as you are for the other ones, if you keep them all the same price. Does that make sense? Okay, yeah, send me a message if you have questions about either of those programs, because the 12-month one is more of a big deal. It's 12 months. You really got to be dedicated because we have coaching calls once a week. You got to be willing to come to those calls, and you got to be really serious about your business for that one. The pricing course is a lot of people that do that, they're just getting started, or they want to make sure that their prices are right. And that's where I talk about your profit margins, kind of just similar to what I was just saying. And you get a pricing spreadsheet so you know that your prices are right, and you know that the prices are what your high profit margin products are and your low profit margin products are. So every spreadsheet, it'll say at the bottom, you have a 50% profit margin, you have a 70%. So then when you're making a menu or you're deciding what to sell, you can go through and you can look at each spreadsheet for each recipe and see, okay, whoa, if I'm going to do this one with a 10% profit margin, probably don't do that one ever, a 10% profit margin, I need to also sell this macaron with a 70% profit margin. Okay. Yes, I'm definitely just getting started, so the pricing course sounds good. Yes, I love it for people and for bakers who haven't started their pricing yet, but if you do already have your pricing done and you've been selling at that price, there's also a section in there on how to raise it. Like if you have your business and you've been selling macarons for $2 and you're like, and you go through the program and you're like, oh my gosh, I need to be selling them for $3. How am I going to do that? I show you how to do that in the pricing course as well. And then if you do the pricing course and you want more, the home bakery is good for that. If you buy the pricing course and then you do the home bakery program, the pricing course is included in the home bakery program. So tell me that you already bought it and you'll get a discount from the home bakery program. Okay. I think I answered all the questions, so I'm going to head out here. I'm going to try to do another one of these tomorrow. I don't know what I'm going to talk about, but it'll be at 7 p.m. Eastern time again. Okay. Yeah, I think I answered everything. All right, see you tomorrow. Jeez. Hello.